Escape from Tarkov has always been a different beast in the shooter space, a game that built its name on punishing realism, hardcore survival mechanics, and that adrenaline rush of going into a raid and knowing you could lose everything at any second. But now, after 8 years of beta, it's about to take the leap into 1.0, and the biggest new addition isn't just balance fixes, content drops, or quality of life upgrades, it's the full campaign. This is the first time we're going to see Tarkov transition from being purely a player-driven sandbox into something with an actual story arc, characters, and a definitive ending. And that alone is huge because escaping Tarkov has always been the ultimate goal. But up until now, it's been more of a concept than something you could actually achieve. The developers at Battlestate have been teasing this for a while, but recently we've started getting real details on how it's going to work. Nikita Bianov himself, the face of Tarkov, confirmed at Tokyo Game Show that the campaign won't just be a handful of missions strung together. It's being built as a full narrative experience, complete with branching storylines, multiple missions across different parts of Tarkov, side quests, NPCs to interact with, and 4 separate endings. And not everyone is going to make it out the same way. Nikita even admitted that only about 20% of players will actually be able to unlock the so-called best ending, which already tells you how tough, unforgiving, and true to Tarkov's DNA this campaign is going to be. The idea is simple on paper. You start as one of the many poor souls trapped in this ruined city, caught between factions, mercenaries, scavengers, and the creeping chaos of a society that's collapsed in on itself. But the way you make your way out, or if you ever make it out at all, is going to depend entirely on how you play, the choices you make, and the risks you're willing to take. The campaign won't just be about running and gunning, it's about survival, decision making, resource management, and how far you're willing to push yourself when every mission could mean your last. What makes this exciting is that campaign missions are set to span across all of Tarkov. You'll revisit familiar maps like Customs, Interchange, Shoreline, and Reserve, but in ways that tie into the narrative rather than the freeform raid structure. On top of that, Battlestate has already confirmed that new areas are coming with 1.0, some designed specifically for the story, and others that will expand the core multiplayer experience. The campaign won't exist in a bubble either. From what's been hinted at, your actions in campaign missions could bleed into the wider ecosystem, connecting the dots between Tarkov's lore and the gameplay loop that players already know. NPCs are going to be a major piece of this puzzle too. Up until now, most of Tarkov's story has been delivered through text-based traders and background lore, but 1.0 is bringing actual characters you can meet, talk to, and take missions from. Some of these will be tied to the main campaign narrative, while others will hand out side quests that flesh out the world. Imagine getting sent into a raid not just to grab loot, but to track down a specific item for an NPC, rescue someone, or sabotage a rival faction's operations. These kinds of objectives could reshape how you approach raids entirely. And then there are the endings, 4 of them, with the hardest one locked behind a combination of skill, knowledge, and persistence. Tarkov has always thrived on the idea that not everyone is going to succeed, and the campaign is doubling down on that philosophy. The fact that Nikita openly admitted only about a fifth of players will ever see the best ending tells us that this campaign isn't going to hold your hand. It's going to demand mastery, patience, and probably a good amount of suffering to get there. Tarkov has never been about making things easy, and the campaign looks like it's embracing that identity completely. It's also worth noting that the campaign is launching alongside Tarkov's full release on Steam, which is a huge milestone in itself. For the first time, the game is going to be available outside of Battlestate's own launcher, which means a bigger audience, more visibility, and easier access for players who might have been hesitant before. Along with that comes a new progression model that splits between seasonal characters that follow the familiar wipe system and a permanent character who can continue to grow and level indefinitely. That's going to give players more freedom in how they experience Tarkov. 1.0 also comes with a slew of technical upgrades, new maps, events, and an overhauled balance pass aimed at cleaning up the rougher edges that have stuck around through beta. And Battlestate isn't treating 1.0 as the finish line. Nikita has already said they have more than 5 years of content planned post-launch, which means we're looking at an ongoing live live service approach, where the world of Tarkov will keep evolving long after November 15th. But the campaign is what makes this release so different. It's what transforms Tarkov from being just an extraction shooter into something bigger, a hybrid of survival sandbox and narrative-driven action game. Players will finally get to see what all this grinding, looting, and dying has been leading up to. They'll get to walk through the story of Tarkov instead of just existing around the edges of it. And more importantly, they'll get to try and actually escape, and that's why this campaign is so exciting. It's not just a bonus mode tacked on for the 1.0 release, it's the culmination of everything Battlestate has been building towards since the start. Every mission, every NPC, every side quest, every ending, it's all pointing to that final question: can you actually escape Tarkov? And for the first time, the answer won't just be theoretical, you'll have the chance to find out for yourself. And honestly, the campaign could end up being the thing that cements Tarkov's legacy in the genre. Extraction shooters have exploded in recent years, but Tarkov is still the pioneer, the game that defined the formula. Adding a true story-driven campaign on top of the hardcore sandbox could set it apart all over again, creating an experience that no other game in this space is even attempting. Think about it, a game where the multiplayer grind and the narrative campaign are two sides of the same coin, feeding into each other, deepening the immersion, and making every firefight, every stash run, every raid feel like part of something bigger. If Battlestate nails this, Tarkov won't just be remembered as the game that birthed a genre, it'll be remembered as the one that perfected it. And of course, while the campaign is the headline feature of Tarkov's 1.0 launch, it's far from the only thing hitting the game this November. The developers are packing this release with a wave of new content and long requested features that should reshape the experience for veterans and newcomers alike. We know that new maps are on the way, including areas designed to flesh out both the story and the raid rotation. These aren't just cosmetic additions, each new location brings unique tactical challenges, loot opportunities, and narrative connections that tie directly into the world of Tarkov. For a game that thrives on variety and replayability, having new places to explore and master is massive. There are also big improvements coming to AI. Scavs and bosses are set to behave more dynamically, making raids less predictable and forcing players to adapt. Battlestate has also been experimenting with better animations, new enemy archetypes, and smarter NPC behavior that could make both the campaign and multiplayer feel more alive and more dangerous. Weapons and customization are also seeing additions, with more firearms, attachments, and modifications entering the pool. If you've been around Tarkov long enough, you know how much the game thrives on its gunplay, and 1.0 is doubling down on that depth. Expect more options to tailor your loadouts, more ways to experiment with playstyles, and more tools to survive or fail spectacularly.